Hey, welcome back. Zillow just announced their latest housing market forecast for home values and home sales through 2025. I have a lot to share in today's video. If you guys get any value, then please hit the like button. Also, consider subscribing as well. I have a lot to share, so let's go ahead and dive right in. This was just announced a couple of days ago. So let's first talk about their forecast for home values. Then I'll share their forecast for home sales and how that compares to years past as well. And then stay tuned toward the end of this video. I'll share the forecast for individual cities as well. So just posted, actually this was posted 3 days ago. Anyways, Zillow's latest forecast is now projecting that home value growth and existing home sales to see a minor uptick, albeit at still low levels relative historical norms. So before I share this, historical norms for home sales is around 5 million houses that sold. Also, home values tend to increase in the range of 3 to 5%. So take a look at this. Zillow now expects that home values to only increase by 2.1% this year, a modest uptick from last month's projection of only a 1.8% growth rate by the end of 2024. Also, over the next 12 months, this is through August of 2025, Zillow is forecasting that home values will only increase by 1.4%. So they're forecasting that home values will still increase, but at relatively low levels, basically half the levels we should be seeing historically speaking. Also, something to keep in mind here, real estate's local as well, right? Because some areas have a lot of houses for sale compared to pre-COVID levels, where as of other areas such as in parts of California, the Northeast, the Midwest, have a lack of houses for sale. And therefore, we're seeing a lot of variations in home values over the past 12 months. So that will all impact overall values over the next 12 months, especially in areas that have a lot of inventory compared to 2019. So in terms of home sales, let's talk about that. So they're now anticipating for 4.1 million existing home sales that will occur this year. That's only up by 0.4% compared to last year's levels. And last year, we basically had nearly a 3-decade low in home sales. Then the increase from 4.1 to 4.3 million in 2025, which is an improvement of 5.3%. So let's actually get a little bit nerdy here because I want to share how these numbers compare to years past, because just saying this 4.1 million, what does that really mean? So take a look at this. Here's a forecast, 4.1 million, which is a decrease of 0.2% compared to last year. And last year, by the way, we had just under 4.1 million home sales, the lowest level since 1995, which is mind-blowing just thinking about that. We have tens of millions or more people living in the United States right now, but we had the fewest amount of home sales last year since 1995. Absolutely crazy, which is quite the turnaround because back in 2021, we had 6.1 million. That was a 15-year high. So if we do get to 4.1 million this year, which in my opinion, I think this is a little bit lofty. I think we're going to be around 4 million. And I'll share my calculation on that. That's basically the same number as our previous forecast. So 1 month ago, Zillow forecasted also for 4.1 million sales this year. So excluding last year, this would be the fewest number of home sales since the year of 2008. In 2008, even though we had the Great Recession there, we had 4.1 million sales. My prediction, as I mentioned, we should see around 4 million sales based on the sales pace so far this year. And I just added a note here. This is a note to myself. I'll share that with you guys. By the way, 4 million would be the fewest amount of sales since 1995. And I'll show that with you guys here in a little bit. Actually, let me just share it with you right now. So 4.1 million. Going back to 2008, we had 4.11 million. But look at the 1990s. We had it in the range of around 3.1 million to end the decade at around 5.2 million. So at 4.1 million, this is basically on par with the lowest level, or I should say at 4 million, this is more or less on par with the lowest level since 1995. Also, if we do get to 4.1 million this year, that would be a decrease of 23% compared to 2019. Back then, we had 5.34 million sales. And I mean, that's a huge decrease compared to pre-COVID levels. Also, based on my nerdy Excel formula there, the median number of home sales going back to the year 1989, this, by the way, is data from the National Association of Realtors, at 5 million sales. That's the median number going all the way back until 1989. So it's more normal to see 5 million sales, basically just over 5 million sales, historically speaking. But if we get to only 4.1 million, that means we're missing approximately 1 million houses that close this year compared to the long run average. Also, just for comparison's sake, Fannie Mae also announced their forecast this year. They're calling for just over 4 million sales at 4,062,000. So rounded up to about 4.1 million is on par with Zillow's forecast as well. And by the way, sales include single family houses, townhomes, condos, and co-ops. So I want to share this with you guys as well. In my video I mentioned yesterday, which was on Friday, I'm making this video on Friday, but I mentioned how we have, we're basically on track to have a fewer amount of home sales this year compared to last year. So I actually pulled data from NAR's website, looking at the actual number of home sales. This is not seasonally adjusted, and it's also not annualized as well. These are actual number of home sales this year and also last year. So January through August is right here. We had 2.81 million home sales from January through August last year. Compare that to the same time frame this year, January through August, we have 2,739,000. So therefore, we have 71,000 fewer home sales this year compared to last year, which is a decrease of 3%. I want to share my thoughts regarding this as well with you guys. So if we have 3% fewer homes for sale compared to last year, and last year was basically at a 28-year low, it's just absolutely mind-blowing. We're basically having a crash in home sales last year, and this year going down very slightly. So a small decrease already based on a very small amount. So I really don't see this improving by the end of the year unless buyers decide to take advantage of these lower rates and of course higher inventory numbers as well. So rates have decreased by about 200 basis points compared to October last year when the average rate was around 8%. Now we're hovering around just over 6% right now. So we have more buyer purchasing power, but of course we have elevated prices right now, of course, as well. So I don't see this improving unless buyers get off the sidelines due to the decreasing rates, but also due to more houses for sale as well. Some areas have a glut of houses for sale, so you can get a deal out there right now. So I really don't see that improving unless these factors take place. Also, really quickly, I want to share my own estimate regarding home sales so far this year. So my estimate is basically, let's just call it rounding up to 4 million home sales. So what I did here, I took the number of home sales we had last year at 4,090,000, multiplied that by 0.97, which is a 3% decrease compared to last year, which is basically the decrease compared to January through August this year compared to the same time frame last year. Anyways, at the current sales pace, if we continue to see a 3% decrease in sales for the remainder of the year compared to last year, we should get to just under 4 million home sales. And again, I really don't see home sales rebounding for the remainder of the year compared to last year. And that's why I think we'll basically be on track with the decrease we're seeing so far this year, which would get us to around 4 million sales by year end. All right, let's get back to Zillow's forecast here. And if you guys got any value out of that, please let me comment below and also hit the like button as well. I appreciate you guys so much. I just like making videos like these. I don't know, jeez. I'm a nerd, what can I say? Anyways, all right, so easing inflation and more accommodating rates have modestly improved affordability for would-be home buyers. So the decrease in rates makes it more affordable to buy houses, but of course, we haven't seen a huge decrease in home prices as of yet. But this dynamic of improved affordability should help boost listing activity and sales. However, while demand should improve some as a result of this, expectations for home value growth remain muted in large part because of steady increases in for sale inventory. So let me break this down to plain English. Because we have a lot more houses for sale right now compared to 1 year ago, looking at a national level, every market's different, that is going to kind of like mute the gains in home prices for the remainder of the year and also through 2025 if we continue to see inventory increasing or up compared to the previous year. Also, the number of houses on the market is up by 22% from the same time frame last year, according to data from Zillow, putting some downward pressure on prices. For buyers, this means there are more options and, of course, more bargaining power. So I want to give you guys an update regarding inventory according to Realtor.com, and this is according to our good Uncle Fred, or it's on our good Uncle Fred's website. So according to Realtor.com, for August, there's 909,000 homes for sale. This is a huge increase compared to what we saw last August, when last August we had around 670,000. So therefore, we have approximately 35% more house for sale looking at Realtor.com's latest data. Now, here's what it gets really interesting though. I only can zoom back to July 2016. That's the maximum data we can go back to. So at, what is this, 909,000 right now. Looking at pre-COVID levels, back in August 2019, 1.2 million. August 2018, 1.3 million rented up. August 2017, 1.3 million. And August of 2016, just under 1.5 million houses for sale. So even though inventory is up right now, and basically at the highest levels right now, going all the way back until May of 2020. So we're basically at a 4-year high regarding inventory levels right now. We're still way below pre-COVID levels right now. But again, just taking a step back here, because we have this basically a 4-year high regarding inventory levels, that should put less downward pressure on price increases. In other words, prices could increase, but we're not going to see this giant increase of home prices like we saw, of course, in 2020 through early 2022. All right, let's get back to Zillow's housing market forecast here. So on a national level, by the time we hit August 2025 compared to this August, they're calling for a gain of 1.5%, which is just kind of laughable here because it says here, over the next 12 months, Zillow forecasts that home values will grow by 1.4%. So why is there a graph here show 1.5%? Fail. Anyways, let's look at some particular areas. Let's look at Albuquerque, New Mexico. They're predicting that home values will increase by 2.7%, quite a bit higher compared to the 1.4% on a national level. Also looking at Atlanta, Georgia, up by 1.5%. Bakersfield, California, and SoCal up by 1.8%. Let's look at Cape Coral, Florida. I know they have a lot of inventory there, up by only 0.3% over the next 12 months. One thing regarding Cape Coral though, look at the bottom or the trough right here. Back in July 2020, they were at a home value at $242,000. And by the time we hit September 2022, it increased to $408,000. Giant increase in prices during the, right after the onset of COVID. So a small increase of 0.3% is nothing to cry about because of this giant run up in home prices over the past several years. Let's also have a look at Boise City, Idaho. They're calling for a gain of 0.8%, month to month up by 0.3%. Let's look at Charlotte, North Carolina, up by 2%, a little bit higher compared to the national average. Also, Colorado Springs, I used to live there a long time ago, down by 0.6%. Let's actually look at Denver, Colorado as well. I know they have a lot more houses for sale compared to 2009 or 2019, I should say, down by 0.8%. So we're calling for home values to decrease by 0.8% over the next 12 months. Hartford, Connecticut is probably seeing a big increase because they have a lack of house. I mean, that's just absolutely astounding. Look at that. Back in, let's just look at January 2020, 233,000. Now they're calling for it to be, by the time we hit August, 376,000, up by 3%. So double the national average based on their predictions. Let's also take a look at Las Vegas. They're calling for a decrease down by 0.2%. And let's look at Los Angeles, California, up by 1.5 on par with the national average. A couple more guys. Let's talk about Nashville, Tennessee, up by 0.8%, so on par with the national average. And then let's look at Houston. I want to see Houston. Where is that? Houston, right there. Houston down by 0.7%. Also want to look at Austin, Texas as well. If we can find that, if I can figure this out. Austin, Texas is right here. Look at that, down by 2.1%. I mean, much lower compared to what they're forecasting overall. So 444,000 by the time we hit August next year. The peak was at a whopping 555,000. So basically what, 110,000 less than the peak of 2022. And that of course is because they have a glut of houses for sale compared to 2019. Now here's one of the biggest decreases I've actually have found. That is in San Francisco. They're calling for a decrease down by 3.5%, which is astonishing because of course, looking at home values over $1 million. So 1,107,000 by the time we hit August. Right now, this August, they're right around $1.15 million. Also quite a bit lower compared to the peak of 2022, when at that time there was just over 1.2 million, or the home value was just over $1.2 million. I'll provide a link in the video description below for this because of course, a lot more cities if you guys want to look at it. Also, if you guys got any value out of today's video, then please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. Of course, I appreciate you. Have an amazing day. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much.